Hey, everybody, welcome to Mid America Dirt. I'm Skip, and I am super excited to be joined by Robert Lee. Robert Lee, how's it going, man?
Man, it's good. Been a busy last couple of weeks and
It has.
ready to get going and racing. It seems like we got a lot of time, but really we got 60 days before we go, so
Yeah,
or
I mean, it's
less than that now.
coming up fast, isn't it? I mean, moving fast.
Yeah, a lot of moving parts, especially with what we've got going on, trying to make sure all your ducks in a row and everything's prepared.
Yeah. Before we get into all that, let's get your racing history. I want to know how you came up. So, where are you from, and how did you get started in racing? Do you come from a racing family?
Absolutely not. I actually never got to race when I was younger. Had my interest happened when it's probably 7 years old. The first race I remember was actually that sticks in my mind was actually the '92 Atlanta race where it was Richard Petty's final race. I think that was Jeff Gordon's first one, and Kowicki won, and I was always attached. Being an Arkansas boy, I'm from Salem Springs, Arkansas. Mark Martin was,
Oh, sure.
naturally that's your guy, you
Yeah.
know, and you get hung on that stuff. So you're enamored with it. You're absorbed with it. Um, so every aspect of racing I could do basically all the way growing up, even through high school, all that stuff. Never got to do any of it. So there was no money to do any of that. That wasn't even an option. There was one point where I got a chance to drive at I think it was still West Salem Speedway at the time, probably around 2000, somewhere around there. Had a chance. Parents nixed it. No money. Yeah, we wouldn't have had to pay anything, and I had a chance to do some races, and they nixed it. They didn't want me to get hurt. Well, I grew up.
Okay.
I grew up in Siloam, right by couple miles from the track. My grandma's house was right across the street from Thunder Valley Speedway. So every
Oh,
weekend
man.
we'd be at my grandma's house. It's a two-story colonial. It's still there, and they're not one of the people that complained about the track. Just so you guys know,
Nice.
it was
Good
the
people.
it was the other people that moved in there. We're a car family. And so that second floor, you could go up there. You could see Thunder Valley from, right there and just
That's
hearing the
awesome.
race car. I can't tell you how many times I fell asleep to the race cars up there. So my racing actually, my proper racing probably didn't happen. So I did a lot of track days. So first time I actually spent time in a car, first car ever bought was a Porsche 944. It actually started with road course racing. And me and my best friend in our rental house garage with a case of beer, stripped this thing down. Didn't know what we were doing. This is before I actually knew what you're supposed to do with stuff. We stripped this whole thing down. Car had sat for probably 8 to 10 years. Stripped the whole thing down, and we take it straight to Hallett. And um, for some reason, everything worked on the car and we didn't have any mechanical issues. We got lucky, learned stuff about getting the softer tires, the better brakes, things like that. Spent a lot of time doing that. Well, then as I got older and I had a job that paid a little bit better, I was like, man, I'd like to do something. I'd like to do something else because none of my buddies wanted to do road racing. It's not popular around here. Not at
Right.
all. And then we went and did drag racing for a while. Started to get heavy into those drag and drive events. So we would travel and go do these like, street style drag racing stuff. Well, then the drag and drive events kind of got real popular after that. So Rocky Mountain Race Week, Drag Week. It got to the point for me, I wanted to start kind of checking stuff off my bucket list. At that point, I'm already probably in my, low to mid 20s. You got to have a bunch of seat time. You got to have stuff built up. I already knew kind of what it took to be like a good race car driver. So in my head at that point, it's just checking stuff off my automotive bucket list. So getting to go race at Vandermeer Drag Strip, got to go race at Cordoba, a couple
Nice.
Great Lakes Dragway up in Wisconsin. Um, Getting to go around Daytona, in a stock car, checking that stuff off my list was that's kind of where I am. I still have stuff on my bucket list I want to check off. My actual proper racing probably actually started at Port in a micro. I had a buddy that was
Okay.
going to start his son. We were at the shootout. His son wanted to start running a micro, and he goes, "Hey, do you want to run a micro too? We'll get a car put together, and I could help out a little as well." So we got two micros, and we ran. I think we ran 2 full seasons doing that, and then the last couple years I did that, just kinda run off and on. Um, but as far as the actual, me behind the wheel racing history, um, really, there's not a bunch of that just because the money wasn't there, or I was either working all the time. My job required me to be hammered
Yeah.
down working,
Your
but
your 2 years in micros, were you doing that around this area, like Oklahoma and stuff?
it was all port.
Okay.
It was
Okay.
all port. You learn a lot though, because that track is hard. I had buddies that would take off and they'd go to another track just so they could get a win. You could pop off and go do that. That wasn't my interest. I liked racing around the other guys. You learned more. You learned about the car control, the way those cars worked. All that time I spent, road racing. I did get some laps in a asphalt late model down at Five Flags, and that was probably the only other thing I had been in where I got solid laps before I went micro racing. So then all of a sudden you get in one of these open wheel cars, and it was fun. I had a real good time. I wish I could have stayed the course maybe a couple more years, but it's hard on family. Even that being as local as it
Yeah.
is, it's still we ran. You're still running close to 40 races,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
then
I know, man. That's tough. I don't see how some of these guys do it. I really don't.
it 2 kids and a wife and still trying to, you know, work your job, and you also have another business as well. You gotta take care of that, and that's what makes some of these racing families so special. They I think everybody's gotta be bought in and support,
Yeah.
and and
100%.
people underestimate when they see people thanking their families or their wives for putting up with it, even if they're not bought in. It's a lot. It really
Yeah.
is. And that's something I appreciated. And we did a little bit of that. I got out of it for a couple years, out of racing, just because it was hard on everybody. But I've always been ate up with every aspect of racing. Whether it's behind the wheel or the operation standpoint. Um, I actually worked at West Siloam Speedway for 2 years in '05 and '06.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
So that was my first as far as, operations standpoint, as far as learning some of that stuff, that was my first, foray into learning that.
How did you go from that to what you're doing now? Tell folks what you do now, like with Arrowhead and stuff.
So now I am the race director at Arrowhead. Uh, I'm not the general manager or anything like that. Because the guy before me, he was kind of the jack of all trades. Guy had great credentials. And then he wanted to go do something else, probably a similar thing with family and wanting to go do go do other things. So I stepped in, and the hard part was trying to fill the shoes that were there before, and at the same time, I mean the racing landscape's changing too because you see other racetracks. Um, they're tightening up or they're closing. Well, this track is, from my house, I can hear it when the cars are running. It's close, it's local, it's personal.
It's one of the nicest
Um,
tracks I mean, for sure in our area. It's
they
definitely tops.
what they put into the facility is absolutely insane, and I love it. And we're still trying to work on, polishing it. Always trying to do little stuff better, and you can't just make a lot of those other big things happen quickly. especially while you're still trying to operate. But, you know, I took a pay cut. I wanted to come do this. You know, the opportunity came to me, and man, I've learned a lot just in the first year. It's been amazing. You realize all these extra moving pieces that it takes. It's another level, and I thought I knew, but until somebody actually does it,
Yeah. Yeah.
you
No.
know, it's
But how do you like it? I mean, I've listened to you, and I've listened to your driver meetings. I've heard you in the pits. I've heard you over the intercom. You run. It seems to me like you run a pretty daggum good show over there. I mean, it goes.
we try to run everything tight and move stuff because we do run a lot of classes, but we've proved, aside from a freak accident here and there that causes a delay, we've proved we can run 8 or 9 classes and get done at 10:30. You know, we try to be tight. You still got to give guys time, but you also want to get them out of there early too.
Yeah, because it
And
is kind of double sided, isn't it? You mean you got to give those guys time to do some stuff they need to do to their cars, but not keep people there forever.
yeah, well, we had one night where the car count was a little lower than normal. Well, I was in this hammer down rhythm, and we ended up not giving the guys very much time at all. But most of them were used to it too. It was just, trying to get the show moving. When you get these other series that come in there, especially if they kind of have you race direct the thing, that makes it, a little tricky too because they're not used to the program moving quick. You try to find the balance in moving the program, but also, all these partners that we have. We have awesome partners. It makes it hard to make sure they get their exposure too. So you got people wanting to move the show quick. You got you got time you need to make for your partners. So trying to optimize that stuff. And I'm hoping to be more polished this year as far as having everybody on the same page with that.
There's big stuff coming up this year. Talk to me about OCRS. I'm excited about this. I'm especially excited. When is it? April 3rd and 4th?
Yeah. Yep. Yep. So on top of everything at Arrowhead directing, we're gonna be we got I got the OCRS deal too. So between those two, I think I'm race directing 60 plus races this year.
Golly.
Um, it's gonna be wild though. So the opportunity came to us to get OCRS. It's a local open wheel thing. Track owner hasn't really always been open wheel oriented, and that was kind of one of the pushes. We started to invite them over a few times this year, even when the other tracks would close, just to kind of feel it out. Well, those guys, those cars, they race great
I
at
loved it.
Arrowhead.
I've watched a couple of them. Yeah.
And when it came available, it was almost a no-brainer. We could have bought it, or you could have had one of the big conglomerates buy it and maybe do something with it or maybe run it down. Well, we did it. No-brainer. Got it done. Tried to schedule. We tried not to change as far as rule sets and schedule. We tried to stick with exactly what they had the year before. Um, the problem is, kind of like we talked about earlier, some tracks are tightening up and they either can't or don't want to spend the extra money, which now learning everything on the track side, I understand. And it's not a problem. But we had to, we reached out to some different tracks, got the schedule put together, and then they went from a $0 point fund from 2025 to a $100,000 point fund for
Nice.
2026. And we essentially used all the same partners that were there before to make it happen. We added some new partners, but we tried to retain everybody else possible. So that got secured. We have a rookie point fund, and that's going to equal it's about $5,000 just for the rookie point fund alone.
That's
So
nice.
you
I mean,
so if there's a
that's huge. That's pretty big for local open wheel guys around here, right? I mean, this is a big deal.
No, it's, I mean, it's huge. I mean, you're getting into it's making it weird to where we're probably gonna have some bigger names run that you're probably gonna recognize that are gonna run next year with us, which makes us feel good. We weren't trying to go that crazy with it, but then when everybody else starts releasing their points funds, it makes you
Yeah.
it makes you feel good. It's more about trying to take care of the drivers. And we still have a perfect attendance thing set up. I can't even remember exactly where we have the breakdown set up. But after our first race, so everybody that qualified for the points fund last year gets into the King of the Wing race for free. So we honored
Nice.
it for the guys from 2025. We honored that, so they're in there. If they show up to the second race, they have no entry fee, $0. So if you maintain perfect attendance, you're not going to pay entry fee all year. On top of that,
Man.
based off um, where you finished the previous race, there's actually bonus money we have tied to the week before if you maintain that status too.
Oh,
That will go on top of your winnings for the next week.
oh, man. That does sound good.
So,
It really does. Okay,
yeah,
King of the Wing, 20 grand, right? To win it.
yeah, yeah,
That's awesome. I heard people talking about this race in Texas, last fall at some, 410 race down there. So that's pretty cool, man. People are excited about this.
yeah. And that was these big money races are kind of tricky too. It's secured. The problem with the big money races, you don't want to make it too big because you don't want to scare off like your regular guys that might not want to show up. But you still want to do a decent sized money race too, especially one to kick off the season. High Limit's not racing that weekend. NASCAR's not running that weekend. It's an open weekend for a lot of this stuff. And 3 weeks later, we have our High Limit race at Arrowhead. So I'm sure I would I would expect some guys to come out there just at least to get some track time. Um, I think it's going to be huge based off pre-entries that we have. It's to me, if as far as what I projected, I think we're ahead of schedule. Uh, I have a rough idea of where I think it's gonna end up, but we'll leave it at that.
Okay. Okay. But yeah, man, I'm super excited about it. It's one of the races I'm really looking forward to this year. I mean, we know each other. I'm not a big open wheel guy. I don't know a lot about it. I really don't. Starting to figure it out, and I really like to watch them. And I have really enjoyed the ones that I saw last year at Arrowhead. It was really fun. So yeah, I'm super pumped about it. I really am.
Yeah, and we're gonna obviously run most of the schedule there, which wasn't the plan. I think we ran 6 races at Arrowhead. That wasn't initially the plan. It was we had those gaps were open, and then tracks were either closed or couldn't do it, or their sanctioning body wouldn't allow it. So we just had to. We still got to have somewhere to race,
Right. And
and
well, why not at Arrowhead? I mean, because
yeah,
I mean,
and the drivers loved it. I mean, there was huge requests for that anyway. All I heard last year was, "Hey, we'd run here." I heard a few guys, "We'd run here every week if we could," you know, and then that's not true to what the OCRS series is. You still got to keep it, it's Tulsa based, so you got to keep it. Try to keep it in Oklahoma the best you can without spreading too far out. Really, our longest travel miles wise is Lawton. That's the furthest we have to go. So trying to maintain that is going to be big.
so for people who don't know, Robert, what kind of sprint car runs in the OCRS for people who don't know anything about?
So it'll be 305 injected, but you can also run a 362 barrel as well. It opens it up for a lot of guys. If you're running if you're running an injected 360, you might as well run a 410 anyway. I mean, the money's not going to be that far off. There's a big jump there. These are going to be your guys that jump from just a lot of the micro guys, especially Tulsa kind of being, one of the hotbeds for micro racing. Shane Stewart's he's got a minnow pond over there, and he just keeps growing these kids out of there. A lot of good drivers coming out of there, Creek, and that's why this series works as well as it does. There's good drivers too. I mean, there's been a lot of guys come through the pipeline that have ran there and won races. I mean, Blake Hahn locked into the A main for the Chili Bowl last night,
Yeah,
previous OCRS winner.
yeah,
It's an awesome series, and I think it's just been, I think it's undervalued. I think it's worth, a lot based off of what the drivers do. Sponsors have been on board, partners have been on board to try to put this deal together to just try to pay the drivers more.
right,
Not trying to, not trying to go over the top either, because you've seen it before where stuff comes in and people are paying too much, and it
yeah,
does scare guys off. It's it really doesn't. Their cost is going to be the same as it was last year or less, and the payout's going to be significantly higher. And the model that we put out there, we wanted to put something that was sustainable out there too. We had the opportunity to go higher, but one of the things you have to do is also build a sustainable model. So even
right,
if everything doesn't go perfect next year, we could still at least sustain what we have. But if the support bumps up and we get some other partners in, it makes sense. Then we can move it up a little bit. But if not, it's still a sustainable model.
right. Yeah, something stable, that they can count on. I mean, because and a lot of those guys, Robert, correct me if I'm wrong, but they're working guys, right? I mean, that's kind of a working man series too, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, a lot of the guys, I mean, I would say almost all of them. There there'll be some of your hired tier teams that are lucky to have a good partner that can, have their car ready for them and it'll be ready when you get to the track, but it's not that many.
Right, right.
Um,
Yeah,
but
it's sick.
it really is a working man series for sure.
Yeah, I like it, man. I really do. I really do.
It's a
So let me ask you this question. You were talking about high limit a minute ago. Do you race direct that, or they bring in their own people to do that?
the perfect thing about high limit is I don't even have to do anything that night. Maybe Maybe make sure we got some toilet paper in the bathrooms. That's probably
I
gonna
got you.
be about it. It's gonna be awesome. No, they have their whole crew. It'll
Okay.
be high limit exclusive. And I think that's gonna be a killer race too.
Yeah. Yeah.
It
I mean, I'm excited about it. Uh, when you're race directing, I want to ask you a few race directing questions because I want to know this. So when you're race directing, are you able to watch? I mean, are you watching the race? Or are you just trying to
yes,
line up what's coming next?
you're watching the race because you still have to. So you have your scorer that's watching everything, watching the transponders. Um, And then everybody's trying to watch their own spot. Like, obviously, you're watching, whatever your next gaggle of cars are, and you're still waiting for track worker, somebody say, "Hey, we got debris here." You know, sometimes you could see most everything from where I sit, but sometimes you can get one lost that spins in like a blind spot. So you better be ready. Or a flagman will see it. He can 95% of our stuff that's thrown, our flagman throws the yellow. But no, you're watching it because you still have to have an idea. So when somebody spins or there's a gaggle, the scorer will write down all the cars that were involved in it. And they're like,
Okay.
hey, what was that other car? And if you got two or three heads sitting there writing down the cars that got involved in it, you at least know where to move them when you go to line everybody up. But you are also, and I don't know if this is normal for other tracks, but for us, you are also working on communicating with your lineup guy and also trying to call in your next races. So I've got another mic
Right.
that's down there. So I'm calling in the next guys, looking down there. If I don't have cars close to the tech shed, I'm I'm calling down there to make sure we got stuff ready so we can keep the show moving. I don't want anybody to miss the race, but I've been to tracks where you can't hear nothing anyway. You
No
know,
joke. I have.
our,
That's one good thing
well,
about Arrowhead. You don't, I mean, there's not really a chance of missing anything. You guys have a great system out there in the sound system out there in the pits. You can hear.
except for a couple weeks ago, it didn't work. But on the pit side,
Did
it
it
didn't
not?
work. It didn't work on the pit side, but everybody still got lined up for the most part.
I was freezing that night. So, I mean, I probably was too worried about my fingers falling off.
Yeah. But yeah, for the most part, we try to stay on top of that. So we are juggling a lot with that, but it still kind of keeps you in the loop to know what's going on.
So you don't get, man, you're going all night. I mean, it's all night for you. So you're watching the race, making sure everything's going right on the track. You're lining up the next races. I mean, that sounds busy.
It's real. I get lucky to get a bathroom break. So,
It sounds
well,
like it. Yeah.
and then you still have there'll be people, somebody upset because they didn't. It shocks me how many people don't understand how like passing points work, and then they'll go to the girl down at registration, complain to her because they got lined up wrong, and then I
All
have
right.
to
What?
pull. Go ahead.
Explain that to me. Explain passing points.
Okay, so depending on the series, some of them you get like a point and a half for each passing point, like USRA or something like that. But if you start in sixth and you gain 4 spots, you're going to get those extra passing points. So you get points for where you finish, and then you get points for each position you gain, only for heat races. And then that'll determine where you start in your feature. So sometimes you'll have the issue where somebody's like, well, I won my heat race and I started in first, but the guy that started in sixth that finished second is starting ahead of me. Yeah, he should because he gained 4 spots. You didn't gain any. Your base points are higher for first. You've probably seen that a bunch at the Chili Bowl and the shootout.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
And it's super important there because there's so many cars.
Yeah. No joke.
So it can get tight. So I'll still be getting messages from down there, having to explain that, have to pull up the actual full sheet to print them down there to show them exactly, hey, here's the passing point totals for the whole thing and send it down there. Or, still making sure you're still building the lineups too while you're up there to update them on Race Pass. And as you're going through it, sometimes it'll update and you're not done updating it, and somebody think the lineup's wrong. It's like, well, we're not done with it yet. And that was the other thing. I tried to come over the mic and say, hey, lineups are final.
Gotcha.
Now
Yeah.
log
So,
on there.
and that's another thing y'all got going on. You got to keep my race pass updated. I mean, that's
Correct.
another part of the operation. You're right. There are a lot of moving parts to keep that to keep a race moving. It's
It's actually like a breath of fresh air when you get to the features. When the features are set, you at least have that in there, and you're like, okay, we're
yeah.
good now. And then once they're done, well, still, even as the features are finishing, you're still waiting for the call from the tech shed. Hey, your stocks are clear. Then you can go ahead and get the pay confirmed in Race Pass, so you can do it. So the girl can print out the pay sheet. But
Golly, man,
if you got some
that
guy doing
is
something, yeah. And then if you got a hang up in tech where somebody does have a questionable thing, and you got to send somebody else down there to look at it. Say we got to send the owner down there to take a look at it or make a judgment call in the tech shit because we're still racing,
yeah.
and we can't. But I confirm the pay up top in the finishing order,
Yeah.
so it can get hit. There's a lot more going on up there than what people think. I think they think I sit up there and eat popcorn.
And just chill out, watch the racing, huh?
Oh yeah,
Uh,
'cause- and you're watching the racing, but you're not watching it like you would as a fan.
yeah, it's a I don't know, but work. I mean, it's work, but you're still watching racing, but you're working.
Yeah, you're watching it different, if that makes sense. I'll have a racer come up, man. Did you see my move going into here and here? No, I really don't. I'm basically you're trying to pay attention, keeping track of the leader, which the flagman does it too. But the more people you can have an eye on that, and then just keeping track of your gaggles of cars.
Well,
And
listen, I have a terrible memory, right? I can't remember much of anything anyway. But when I'm out there, when I do just what I do, if I'm out there watching a race, I'm really not. People you ask, like you said, ask, did you see this or that? I mean, not really, because you're right. It's different if you're not watching as a fan. I don't, it's different. I don't know how to explain it, but yeah,
no,
you're
I get
right.
that. And if you're watching as a fan, you'll select, hey, that's my guy. That's my guy. You're
Certain
kind of
things, yeah,
you're keeping an eye on them anyway.
yeah,
So you do that. I think that's where you watch it different as a fan. Race director. you're trying to watch everything you can. That way, if something does happen, you can make the decision as quick as possible. We're we're lucky in this day of age where you have transponders to really be able to lean on, because if they're reading every lap, as soon as you hit that button, the second you hit that button, the computer already knows if the leader crossed plus however many, depending on the series. Some are if the leader crosses plus one car, that lap counts, and then your running orders based off that. The computer does that, so it's real funny when you see people come complain. I was like, the computer already knowed, hey, so like there's some other series where you have leader plus 3 or 4, and then it counts. Computers got it locked down, you
Yeah.
know, and it's counted every lap for that car. It didn't magically miss one. And
Does my race pass work off the transponder, or is that still? You guys have
it
to
gets it gets
upload all that
its it
information?
gets its feed from our transponding software.
Okay. Okay.
Now, sometimes there are connection issues where race pass looks weird, but that has nothing to do with like our hard software either. Because our
I got
loop
you.
will work, we'll do loop tests, we'll check all that stuff. You'll know as soon as a car goes out, though. We'll know, hey, we're starting this race. So you have 8 cars. 8 cars that go out there. Well, we're only reading 7 transponders. Show you the number of the car, who it is. You can look and see, oh, that guy's out there. Transponder's not working, or he's got it in the wrong spot. You got to let him know. It's so when it gets tricky is when these guys roll out and they have them in a bad spot and they're in a feature. A transponder can shift around. Then you're having to manually score it. Well, then, for example, our tuner race, the guy that won the race, his was reading every so often. Well, it showed he finished like 7th, and he clearly won the race by a lot.
Okay.
So somebody's watching on their phone on Race Pass. No, I was supposed to be here. Well, no, you weren't supposed to be because the guy below you actually won the race and you weren't paying attention to that.
Okay.
Race passes, it's a real good reference, but you still have stuff that happens with the transponders. It's good to lean on that stuff, but that's something that can still happen.
Yeah. Hey, I see. I think it was a Dome, and I'm not going to call the guy's name out, but a guy at the Dome, I think, they forgot to put their transponder in at a race, I guess, and it cost them. It cost them, I think.
Well, and
Um,
and it is your job to make sure that it's mounted right and then it reads. Now, I don't know how their stuff works. We try to let people know during hot laps and heats. It's a little easier. You can keep track of it during a heat. You can still do it during a feature. But if there's a mess that happens, that's why a lot of comp, OCRS, a lot of these traveling series, you're going to have a hand score on hand
okay.
just in case, because it's extremely important there. Um, Hand scores they're hard to find anymore, but
Yeah.
you still need them. We had it happen in that tuner race. Luckily we had somebody on hand that was super familiar with it, and
Cool.
and they did it. But it can get real hectic up there.
Yeah, I bet, man. I bet. I mean, from listening to you talk, yeah, I've never, I've been up there during races, but never really, not too much, because you don't want to get in everybody's way. Because I mean, if you're not part of it, you feel like you're in the way. You know what I mean? It's
Well,
important
and
to,
and not being mean, but yes, that's true. So
yeah,
because
I bet.
because I walk around a lot too. I'll walk from end to end in there. Sometimes watching stuff. But like that last week when it was cold, a lot of people were in there, and I couldn't
I bet.
couldn't really move around. I couldn't even stand in my normal spot that I have. There's an open
Yeah,
spot.
wow.
Our desk sticks out, and there's an open spot where I stand where you can see most everything. I
Yeah.
couldn't
How
even.
awesome was that? How awesome was that? That weather. What was it, like 170 cars, right?
Yeah,
Somewhere in that neighborhood.
175 or 175 plus.
That's
So,
awesome.
um, I felt really dumb because I told Willie, I said, this. He said this in September. Wanted to do the race. He wanted to do the race in September, and I talked him out of it. I was like, it's stupid. I said, it's shootout week. I said that Saturday is going to be where they're running, you know, all the features. And I get that the drivers and the cars are different, the fans are slightly different. There's not a lot of crossover. There's a small amount, but not a ton. But it's literally the biggest indoor race in the country right beside us.
Yeah.
Well, week and a half before we get 75-degree weather, and it's not looking bad for that following Saturday.
Yeah, it wasn't
And
even up till like the day before, it was still pretty good.
yeah, and so I talked to him. I think we're 8 or 9 days out, and we talked about it. I just said, "Hey, I'll be there." And the next day, I didn't get anything. The day after, he sends me a flyer with the first blood stuff for that date. He goes, "Post it." It's like, all right. And in the back of my mind, I was like, yeah, we'll have 50, 60 cars because all these guys are gonna have their stuff tore down.
Right.
It's
Reskinning
that
them and
time of year,
stuff.
and it's just that time of year. And sure enough, I was I was up there making sure computers and everything were working, getting the stuff set up for the comp guys, and just kept seeing cars rolling in. We had to delay drivers meeting by 10, 15 minutes because we still
Yeah.
had people trying to get checked
Yeah,
in.
they were coming in late. Yeah.
And it didn't stop, and it was wild. It turned out to be good. We're gonna do it again next year.
Cool.
Um, it'll be a 2-day show, maybe
Okay.
3-day with a practice or something like that. But we're
Oh,
gonna do
that'd
it
be
again
awesome.
next year. But we're gonna announce it. you know, maybe hopefully here in the next couple weeks or less, we'll get it put out there, but give people
That's
a lot
cool.
more heads up. Obviously, everybody's going to be aware whether Wills is going to be a dice roll, but it makes more sense to put it on the schedule and plan to go through with it for us. And
Yeah.
then if it is bad, if you have to pull the plug on it
Well,
because of something like that, people understand.
yeah, I mean, it's
But
like rain. I mean, you can't do anything about that.
yeah, we're gonna go ahead and do it though. But the dates will be coming out. I expect next week we'll probably release it.
Okay. Okay. Let me ask you this question, Robert. I'm just sitting here thinking about this. What do you know what race had the biggest car count? What's the biggest car count race that you've had to racetrack? Do you know that off the top of your head?
We had a we had 200. We were right at 200 a couple times last year, and I can't remember the exact races. We had some 160s, some 180s, couple that were right at 200. Weekly stuff floats around 120. I mean, that last race we just had though, that first blood, that was probably the craziest one for me because I got to race direct super late models. I was
Yeah.
nervous about it. I was nervous. But they're still doing the same thing. The car just looks different,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I was pumped up about that. I was nervous and pumped up, and then I had to like calm down. Luckily, you know, it stayed pretty clean. You had the scary deal with Tony
Tony Jackson.
destroying
Yeah.
his car. That was
Yeah.
one of the craziest flips I've seen because that
Well,
car
that's
just it kind of had that weird float, and then
yeah. I was actually I was actually walking around and missed like when it happened. I'm walking around and we came back over the other side and I saw it, but I didn't get to see it happen. But it kind of reminded the aftermath kind of reminded me of Kirby last year too. When Kirby lost that wheel,
oh
and
yeah,
went. So that's like two, right there, not too far apart. That pretty wild.
yeah,
Pretty wild
but
ones.
it was a fun race. It was kinda got to watch that one a little bit because those guys, for the most part, you don't have to do a whole lot because the comp cam guys, even OCRS guys, you can tell they've got a bunch of laps under them in a bunch of races because 98% of the time, they're already getting back in line,
Yeah.
you know? But they have the laps, they know the rules, they're super familiar with it. So, I do like doing that as well.
Let's
Working the
talk about
series
comp
stuff.
cams. Comp cams. I'm pretty excited about comp cams. I'm a full body guy. I like it. I love
Well, you'd
comp
be
cams is one
excited
of my
about
favorites.
You'd be excited about comp? No way.
Yeah, I'm excited about comp cams, and I mean, I'm excited about the races that are happening at Arrowhead. 'Cause how many races comp cams do you have at Arrowhead? Like
Uh,
5 or 6?
we've got 6 races there. I was gonna look.
That's pretty
Um,
awesome to have that many awesome late model races for me, close to the house for me. I love it. And some of the tracks that they're going to are pretty awesome too. Crowley's Ridge, I'm super excited about that one. Um, and then
that's
you
gonna
guys are having,
be that's gonna be one if somebody hasn't been or they don't know the history there.
yes,
I think that's gonna be one that shocks people.
yes, 100%. Man, when I saw that come out, I was super stoked about that one. And you guys, there's some head to heads coming up, right? You got you're going against Revival at Lake Ozark. I know that. Um,
We've
it
got a
seems like
few
there's
with
some more.
them. We've
That's
got
what
a
I
few
thought.
with them. I don't know the exact ones because I'm not super involved on the comp side of stuff.
Right, right.
Um, but no, we've got a few, and then they've got a big points fund they're racing for too.
Heck yeah, heck yeah. Um, it's awesome. It really
Yeah,
is. I'm
we
super
can.
stoked about it.
I'm cool. Yeah, uh, Pike County
See, I've
down
never
there
been
in
there.
Mississippi. So Kai Kelly, the big drag racer, had bought the thing,
Yeah, okay.
and
Yeah,
they're doing a lot of stuff to that facility too, and that's gonna be I think that's gonna be behind Crowley's. That's probably gonna be the next biggest surprise.
okay. Well, and in Arklatex, I'm kind of excited about that because that's usually been kind of more of a like a mod and sprint car track, right? In the past, so it's kind of cool to see that going on there.
Yep,
I'm excited to
and
get down
then
there.
Thunderbird's gonna be cool.
Yep, yep. And well, and then right over here next to us, Solana High Banks, man. I'm sitting right here in the middle of Super Lake Mall country, man. I love it.
You ain't gonna have to drive very far for some of yours.
It's nice. It's nice. I like it. And OCRS races. Good sprint car racing. I'm excited about this season. I really
You
am.
need you need to start. I see you're starting to step out in some of the open wheel stuff. I saw you were at the Chili Bowl yesterday, right?
Yep, Chili Bowl yesterday. We're gonna go tonight and just watch. Because a guy that couldn't go, that watches the show, he gave me his 2 tickets, so we're just gonna go watch tonight. You know what? I didn't watch any racing last night.
Well, you didn't. Go watch
I did
the
not.
go watch
I
the
was walking
recap.
around the pits. I was walking around the pits all night. I watched it like on the screens, you know what I mean? But
Yeah,
I never got out there and saw racing on the track.
yeah. I missed parts of Monday night. We were in meetings in the building, but we were watching them on TV, and then so I'll be there tonight. So probably see I'll be there tonight.
Yep, yep. I'll be there. I think we're gonna be right behind the flag stand. Or
Okay,
well, whatever, start finish line.
nice.
So yeah, it's pretty cool. I appreciate that, Dave, you hooking me up with that. But yeah, it was it it wasn't as bad as shootout for me because shootout, I mean, it was so packed in there. I
They're
mean,
they're they're
just at,
they're they're packed in the corners of everywhere in there.
yeah,
This past year when I went in there, I got lucky because all I did was I basically rented a ride and I was in a group that already had a trailer in. I didn't have to do the moving. Moving is the probably the worst part of that deal just because of the just volume of
right.
people and cars. The first year I went, that back 25% of the building was open to guys that didn't have trailers. So you roll in your tool cart and all your stuff, and then you put your car in the spot. This year, it was all the way to the back of the building, and then that same group of guys, they're up against the wall, pinned together. I'm sure you saw it. You couldn't,
Yeah,
you couldn't pull a front axle out of your car without being in somebody's way.
no. And last night at the Chili Bowl, we were at Troutman's thing that he's running. That we were looking at their trailers, even at Chili Bowl, and there's what 300 and something there.
360,
Yeah,
370, somewhere in that range.
there was that much room in between trailers right there. I mean, golly, man, it's different. It's hard to find anything. You know what I mean? Like people wanted me to interview a kid that's from over here, pretty close, and I look. I went through there like 3 times last night trying to find him. Finally found him way back in a corner. I'm like, "Man, finally."
Yeah. And it's 4 times as hard at the shootout.
Yeah, it is. It really is. Because I couldn't find you.
Yeah. And I was right on one of the poles, right by a aisle.
Yeah, I couldn't find you. I looked around for you. I like 60. I'm like, I'm looking all around for 60. How many 60s are in here?
You didn't find an you did you?
I did not. I did not. So it's pretty neat, man. It's just different than what I'm used to. It really is. But I like it. I mean, I really do.
No. I what you're doing for the late model guys and the modified stuff, especially just in the last less than a year from everything I've seen, you're doing a lot of good stuff for the sport. I mean, you're genuine, you actually care. That's why you're
I
getting
love it.
support, and you start dabbling in the open wheel stuff, those guys are gonna love that too.
Yeah.
No,
Well,
I think you're
I'm not
killing it.
I'm not into it for anything. You know what I mean? I love it. You know
Yeah,
that. I just love it. I'm
that's
not in it to, make money off folks or do anything like that. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of that going around, I think, but I just love it.
no,
I do.
that's
Uh,
clear as that's clear as day. We tried to pay you, and you said we couldn't.
yeah. Yeah. For real.
So
Just,
if there's anybody that thinks that he's in it for the money, I guarantee you that's not the
yeah.
case at all.
Just
Guarantee it.
going to a race. I mean, just going to a
Yeah.
race, hanging out, talking to folks and getting them out there. And I don't know what's important. A lot of times the drivers don't get the exposure that they need,
Well,
you
and
know?
that's the problem this week. There's a there's a streaming company that does everything for the Chili Bowl, and they're going after the big names. And I get it. That's what gets you your viewers. That's going to get you the big chunk. So call it 375 drivers. Well, there's 360 other drivers there,
Yes.
you know, and
100%.
all those guys can drive. They
Yeah.
probably don't have the equipment or something,
And and
they can all drive.
they all work hard and they all love what they do. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe they
Yeah.
didn't come up with the same circumstances as everybody else, and there are some of those guys, but that's what
It
I like. There are people out
it
there still working hard.
it says something when you love racing so much, when you show up to an event just to do it knowing you don't stand a chance, but you still show up there. That's
Yep.
that's that's big. That shows what a racer is, you know?
Yeah.
Some people might think it's dumb. I tell people all the time, yeah, it's kind of tongue in cheek, but it's like, we're all idiots. Like we spend all this money, you know, we spend our own money that we shouldn't spend to go do this because we like it this much. Even my shootout deal. I didn't have the laps on me. I knew I didn't have a chance. I'm too old and fat and inexperienced, but I still went to go do it because it was fun.
Yeah.
And it's a good time. And if you own it with that mindset, I think it makes it a little more fun too. But there's a bunch of those guys in the Chili Bowl building right now.
Yeah. And a lot of local guys too. I mean,
They're
and
hardcore.
I've got more interviews to put out. I just haven't had a chance to do it yet. Um, but yeah, man, it's racing. This is freaking racing country over here in our part of the world. It really is.
Yeah. No,
It really is.
and racers are gonna race, and that first blood event we did proved that.
Yes, sir.
It didn't matter.
100% prove that.
We posted we posted the event, and I remember seeing somebody talk about it being, well, it's gonna be 40 or 50 degrees. They didn't care. Racers don't care. We'll go. I'd rather freeze and be sweating my butt off in a fire suit.
That that's what Dalton said when I interviewed him. He said a cold, bad day at the racetrack's better than going to work.
Oh, he was, I saw that one. He was shivering in that thing.
Yeah. I mean, hell, my fingers weren't working when I was interviewing him. I was like,
No, I was those those modified guys support us so well.
Yeah.
And we still had, and it was really like our weekly classes that I was kind of worried about. Man, are we going to have any tuners? Stock cars. This is a super popular time to tear down a stock car. we're working through finalizing pure stock rules. We didn't really have it. We still don't really have anything locked in for that that's finalized yet. When we release our schedule, we'll have that. So I was a little worried about that. I think it was our biggest Midwest mod race in the last 12 months. Those
Yeah,
guys
how many
showed
were
up,
there? There's a bunch.
and for compared to what we had last year,
Yeah.
um, and that being on a whim, it's going to be promising for next year.
Heck yeah, man. I'm super excited. Well, I mean, even next year and then this season. This season's looking really, I'm super excited about this season in
Yeah,
general. Super excited about it. Um, and it's a lot of stuff right here close to the house, man. I like it. I like
yeah.
it.
That
Kids super late model racing close to the house, sprint car racing close to the house. I love it.
well, people have been asking for more in Northeast Oklahoma, so hopefully that helps. And
Yeah.
sprint car racing's always been close. You just didn't know it.
I just didn't know it. You're right. I didn't know it,
you
but I
didn't. You
do
didn't.
now.
You didn't know you liked it.
That's right. I do, and I do. I don't. I mean, I still watching it in person. Sprint cars is way better than TV.
It doesn't compare, especially closing rates. Watching some of these moves through the corners, all the races we had this year, those guys, the guy that started, I don't think we had one where, well, maybe one. I don't think we had one where a guy off the front row won.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it
I
and
mean,
it's
it's
cool.
it's
I think part of it's progressive banking too, where guys can start working the high side. Like that last one we had that Jake Nail won. I think Jake started 4th to 6th in that range, and he found this insane high line on the wall going into 3 that you normally don't see with the sprint car, and he was right on it and found something, and ended up ended up winning the thing. It was fun to watch, and they're always fun to watch. Like,
they
now
are.
race directing those, that is hard enough to get, like, jacked up because then you're still a race fan.
I got you, man.
So, you could put a camera in that booth and probably get some good footage. You probably have to bleep it a little bit, but I get excited, man, for some of those races. The race fan still comes out sometimes.
I got you. I got you. I don't see how I couldn't, man. I really don't. I don't see how I
Yeah.
couldn't. Robert,
Yeah.
man, I've had you on here almost an hour.
I got
So,
yeah, I gotta leave to go to Tulsa here after a bit, so.
yeah, you're going to be there longer than me today. I'm not going to get there till like later on. So, but I got a bunch of stuff I got to do here, and then tomorrow got to hit the road for some other stuff, and be gathering up some super late model interviews. So,
Yeah. No, you do your thing. Hey, we appreciate what you're doing, Skip. All the stuff that you're doing is super good for the sport. You're genuine, and I think people know that, and that's why they don't mind talking to you either.
well, I appreciate you guys doing what you're doing. Yes, comp cams, Arrowhead Speedway, Arrowvision. I mean, all that stuff, man. I really appreciate that. That means a lot to a race fan.
No, we're trying. People think that stuff's easy, but you're literally stressed out the whole time. We need to be sponsored by Tums because I would be eating that stuff by the bottle.
Okay, gotcha. Heck yeah, man. I understand. I mean, even just talking to you guys a little bit, here and there recently, it's you kind of see how much goes into this,
It's
how
it's
much work.
it's not as easy. I appreciate, especially over the last year, I've learned so much on what goes into it, but still trying to be better and elevate yourself and try to do stuff better. Slowly learn something. You're learning in this thing all the time. I'm sure, you talk to Mooney, he probably tells you he learns something every day, and he's been doing it 160 years or whatever it was. You're always learning something. So, and that's what we're trying to do. I've got a lot of good people around me to learn from, and that does help. It helps a lot. Um, I might not be as conventional as some other people, but when it comes to, you know, racing and the way we operate, I'm, that's my thing, and
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
not
not
gonna.
sure conventional maybe is even that's even a good thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes I think there needs to be some unconventional coming up. I mean, there needs to be something going on to change things a little bit.
Yeah, and maybe that was maybe not a great word, but maybe conventional. But my integrity for racing. That's something I'm always gonna have. Some people might not like it, but it's gonna be straight up, and I'll be able to own it. So I'm cool with that,
I got you. Robert, you got anybody you want to thank or any shout outs you want to do before you get off here?
man. I mean, we got to thank for the OCRS side. Ameriflex. This guy, he's going in. He's over 20 years now invested. Whether it's in modified stock cars, I'm sure you've seen that name everywhere. Um,
Everywhere.
he's title sponsor with OCRS, huge partner. Um, but Carmart is huge for the track. McClarty Daniel Buick GMC, they're huge. They're those those guys have been the major glue, and there's so many other small ones. I was almost scared to even mention any because we're leaving out a bunch of our,
Yeah, I
because
know.
you got Nance
Probably cut.
Machine, Realty Mart. I don't have the list. I have to stand on the track and look at the banners.
I
Springdale
caught you off
Tractor,
guard on that one.
yeah. Kubota, you know, uh, Kubota might be getting out of racing nationally, but local
Yeah,
Kubota
I saw
stores
that.
are their local Kubota stores are still involved on the smaller level, and it goes a long way. Um, but no, if anybody can get up track, support your local track, whether it's Arrowhead. You know,
Anywhere.
we've seen some really good tracks close. There's still some really good ones struggling. Don't be surprised if we get halfway through the season and you see some of these guys that can't fulfill races on a schedule. So make sure it's
Get out
stressed that
there.
you get out there and support your track. It don't matter which one it is. Racing's a tight niche group. It's a smaller percentage than what people think it is, um, of general population, but you gotta
Yeah.
support your tracks. All the tracks need it. So
Yeah. 100%. Robert Lee, man, thanks for coming on here. It was good getting you on here and talking to you. I really appreciate it.
yes, sir. Thank you, Skip.
Thank you, man. See ya.
All right. See ya.